Hey everyone. Alright, it's been a while, so I did a little update on this. Obviously, I've assembled the model. I went ahead and I did my fillets as well. This blue stuff is Super Fill. You can get it from Brodak Aircraft Spruce if you want to buy huge amounts of it. All sanded still with 320. I have not sanded the silk span out since the last coating because I tend to get a little heavy-handed during assembly. So extra little dings and dents happen and need filling, and so now that all this filling is done and everything, and also if we take note here, see if we can zoom in on that. That little guy right there happened during assembly. I would have been mad if that happened after the final sand out and I was getting ready to do silver. Another good reason to do assembly beforehand. So the wing was epoxied on. I wound up using CA on the tail group. Works fine. Not gonna have any issues with it. So that's where we sit. So what I'm gonna do now is I was gonna do a 320 on it again, but this is turning out kind of crazy nice. So I'm actually gonna do 400 on it, and then what I might try and do. Yes, hi Lucy. What I might try and do is actually spray a coat of clear before I do the silver to let all those little sand marks, I'm talking about when we're putting the scratches in as we sand, let all those close down on top of each other on their own. It'll be mostly thinner than I'm spraying on it. Let's say maybe it'd be like a 70-30 mix, 30% clear, 70% thinner. Get a little bit of clear to fill in some of the lows, but then that thinner just to let everything relax and kind of flow back down on top of itself. Then I'll spray silver on it, and we'll see how it looks. I haven't done it that way before, but I was talking with one of the guys, and it's like, man, you know, that sounds stupid enough, it'll probably work and save a ton of effort. So that's the road we're going to go down. You never find out unless you test. So, yeah, I guess we'll be learning together on that. Oh, the feather marks. This way, going from covering the wingtip first and having the medium go down over the top of it. It kind of works. I'm still not happy with it. During this sand out, I'm going to have to go through and feather these edges. They feel pretty good, right? But they're not superb. As opposed to over here, what we did was we had the medium, then bent it around and glued it down to the inside there using dope. Then we put the thin, or the light, over and into here. So much easier to blend this out. This was like 20 minutes worth of work. This, I'm an hour into this already, and you made a little oopsie out here. I've never used super fill out here. I'm gonna see if it works. Worst thing happens is I very carefully sand it all off and then put a piece of thin over it as a patch, but it was where a crinkled laid over on top of itself, and as you're sanding it out, it split open, and trying to feather it out, you just wind up chasing it across the panel, so I tried to fill it. It doesn't really feel that great, so I might get rid of that. But that's where this stands. A couple of little things you don't usually see on a streak. You know, get that blended in here. You make this all look like one assembly. Back here, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to wind up finishing this out. What will likely happen is once I get the silver on it, I'm going to have to take just a little bit of like icing or glaze or spot putty, whatever you prefer to use. Put a little bit over that, and it might need a little more attention after the silver. But let's try to make it look nice and pretty. However, on this hood, I made this hood to go on because that just looked ugly, and I think that looks pretty sharp on there too. But I think it's hit good enough for a beginner to turn into a pile of matchsticks. No illusions about that, guys. And whoever winds up winning this at Nats, fly the thing. Please, fly it. Fly the wings off of this. Don't just hang it on the wall or whatever. You're afraid you're going to break it. It's a model airplane. Sometimes they break. It is what it is. But, yeah, so that's where we're at. Let's keep learning. Hey, everyone. It's been a while since, seen an update on this. Honestly, it's been sitting. I haven't touched it. So, what did I do? Last time we discussed that it was all sanded out and I was going to silver it. But, man, waiting on wind here to be able to spray outside. That was manageable for a racer that I was painting, but not quite so much for larger stuff, this would be blown all over the place. I'm really happy the way a couple of these things came out. I mean, the way this tail group goes out and blends out real nice and pretty down through here. Oh, it's gonna look great painted out. But all right, so what did I do? I said I was gonna silver this again because of the wind. Not really happening all too much. So went a different route. What I did was Dupli-Color primer. Word of caution on paint compatibility, stuff like this. A guy that I know said this is compatible with dope, so we have nothing to worry about. Gotta make sure it's a lacquer type primer. If you use an enamel primer, the moment you go to spray dope color over the top, it's gonna lift right off. That's because lacquer, the reducers, it's called hot. You know, the reducers are really hot compared to enamel type reducers. So you can put enamel over lacquer, but never lacquer over enamel. That's just bad news. That's here. That's where I was holding it last night. I was spraying it on my porch. So yeah. So what am I gonna do now? Everything gonna be wet sanded. Just a small container of water, just a drop of dish soap in it. It's good. We'll go through a wet sand this with 600, and it's likely going to need 1 or 2 more coats. Now, why do I say that? This kind of stuff, the fuzzies that you get when you spray primer, one from dirt in the air, and the other is, you know, if it doesn't atomize real good coming out of the tip, which spray paints are notorious for, you get these weird, lifty, fuzzy things. I don't know what else you want to call them. They'll get sanded out, not a worry. But what we're really looking at here are these guys. Just zoom in. All these itty bitty tiny little pinholes. Once I'm done sanding this, we're gonna take another look at them and see how good they are. Worst thing that happens is I'll have to sand all the primer off and put on a few more coats of maybe some slightly thicker dope, and I'll keep it even side to side so the wingtip doesn't go up and down. When you zoom in real close, these tiny little pinholes, we gotta start filling. We gotta get these all filled before we go on, because we'll see these right through all the way up until the clear, and you'll see them underneath, and that just looks terrible. The whole thing should be looking. Lucy, what are you doing? Get out of there! It should be looking like this. These aren't pinholes; those are those weird, stringy dirt things that I was talking to you about. So there's a ton of primer on this. Again, 2 schools of thought. You can put on all these coats really thin, sand each coat, spray again, sand, spray, sand, spray, sand, spray, and you make a ton of work for yourself. Or, you know, I put on 2, well, I'll say 1 medium coat and then 1 good thick coat. It actually used up just about 2 cans of this stuff, and all that stuff's gonna. Most of it's coming off. I mean, you're going to see a ton of bare tissue underneath this by the time it's all done being sanded out. So why do I do it one way instead of the other? Why do I just lay the material on? Well, it's all coming off anyways. Instead of going back and forth and it taking a week of back and forth, because remember, you want to let the stuff dry overnight every time you spray it. So instead of a week going back and forth doing that, you know, I spend an extra hour sanding and it's done in a night. And then if you need to, you can go back and put on another coat to touch things up a little bit. But overall, this is going to look real nice. This is going to look great. Those spots that we sanded through, that we had concerns over, doesn't really look like anything terrible is going to be coming through. This guy might need a little more attention just because I got sloppy with the sandpaper. But we'll see. Again, this is just going to be a really good sport model. It's not going to be a 20-point Concords or anything like that. But we'll keep going. Take it easy, guys. Hey everyone, been a while since an update. So all that Dupli-Color primer got sanded out, and we sprayed our coats of silver, 2 coats of silver. Not looking too bad. I used it as a sealing primer, so you'll notice in some areas. Oh, where's a good spot? Right out here towards the end of the leading edge. Right in there. Back here on the tail. I don't really see it good there on the tail. Those are getting painted another color, so I really just kind of wanted to seal everything up to be the same color. The fuse is going to wind up being silver. And then we're going to have some fun on the wings. We're going to go, might make black strips in here. It's right on the sheeting. But It's gonna be yellow wing, gonna have a red stripe in it, and the wingtips are either gonna be red or black. I haven't decided that yet. The tail group, that will be red as well. There'll be some sort of dividing line in here where I might just do going up the rudder, the horizontal stab, and the elevator. Then we're gonna have a red cowl sort of thing. That's why I'm not too concerned about the way my stand was holding it, because red's gonna get sprayed over that. It'll match out fine. Then, of course, something to do with the canopy. So we're gonna work on masking this, and then we'll check back and see what it looks like, and hopefully be spraying some yellow today.